On Spurs, how do you think they're going to get on against Everton against Aston Villa, this weekend? Because they're on the back of 2 back-to-back defeats. They have, and I was looking at this, I want to read this out to you before we go any further, because I saw this and thought, wow, Man United have still got the biggest list, but they have, let me read this out, through suspensions and injuries. Basuma out. Romero out. I don't know who Ashley Phillips is, but he's out. James Maddison out. Richarlison out. Van der Ven out. Suleiman out. Perisic out. Ryan Sessegnon out. And I don't know if it's been confirmed, but there are rumors, even though he was due back to play from the suspension, that Ndogi could be injured as well. How do you see them getting on at home against in-form Aston Villa, who have barely anybody out? Tyrone Mings and Buendia. That's it.
Good day, mate. Thank you for the question. Here's the thing. Tottenham Hotspur's downfall is a thing of beauty that I have called out, from time ago. And the ultimate reality is the next 4 games, you've got Aston Villa. I memorized them even without looking. Aston Villa, Manchester City, West Ham, and Newcastle. Those 12 points, they're going to get 2 points out of them. I think 2 points is maximum. Yes, 2 points is maximum out of the next 12. I think they draw against Villa. They're losing to Man City. I think they're losing they're going to lose to Newcastle, and they possibly might get a draw against West Ham. The Tottenham downfall is a thing of beauty. And if it wasn't for all the delusional Spurs fans and all the obnoxious, annoying Spurs fans that done our heads in the first 2 months of the season, no one would be saying shit about Spurs, because Spurs ain't my rival. I don't really care for Spurs like that. But all the dumb shit in the media and all this annoying Spurs fans has us behaving this way. I now look forward to watching Spurs' downfall, and I cannot wait for it. And the reality is, Aston Villa are going to get something, whether it be a draw or a win. Now, I think, out of respect to the 3-time fraudulently manager of the month, Ange Postecoglou, he got, by the way, his 3rd manager of the month. He got it for beating Luton 1-0, Crystal Palace 2-1, and beating another team. I think it was Sheffield United 2-1. Wow, so deserved. Anyway, when it comes to Ange Postecoglou, he's the 3-time manager of the month. 4 months of the season, he's won 3 of them. So he should be able to show us how he reacts when he has injuries. So now with Mr. Postecoglou, I don't think he's going to have a good day, mate. Tomorrow he's going to have a bad day. And I think Aston Villa are leaving with something. It's just, I told you guys about this Tottenham Hotspur trash. I told you guys they're 1 injury away in 8 positions out of a catastrophe. And now they have multiple injuries. Wish them all a speedy recovery. But I don't feel bad for Romero, because I didn't tell him to be a stupid, rash idiot. I don't feel bad for Udogie, because he should have been sent off 40 minutes before he gets sent off. And listen, when I have injuries, they tell us deal with it. When Terry has injuries, they tell him the same. Same with Chelsea, same with other clubs. Deal with it. It's not my fault you came to the season unprepared. So now deal with it. And, come bring me your players and show me what you can do. Ain't just so revolutionary. The article told me no manager has ever transformed a club when he first walked in like Ange Postecoglou. Okay, no problem. Show me the transformation. Now, you have 4 games. Oh, wow. Never before in Premier League has a manager had such a rapidly transformative effect on a squad, on a club, on a fan base. Lord have mercy. The absolute waffle. The absolute waffle. And then they have the audacity to go like, Tottenham are no longer Spursy. Yeah, okay. We saw that when they got kicked out the Carabao Cup against Fulham. They're no longer Spursy.
Do you know what's really interesting about it? This is not, by the way, Udogie's actually fine. Someone sent me a link. It was only a rumor I heard yesterday. I think it was Patrick that told us, or someone mentioned it yesterday. But in terms of the top 6 club, yes. I can't remember if they lose to Aston Villa, and I'd love someone to get this verified. Have anyone in the top 6 in the Premier League era had a new manager come in and lose 3 games on the bounce in the Premier League at any stage in the first season? 3 on the bounce.
I mean, they probably have, to be fair.
They may have, but again, if you think about like Man United, I don't think in our first season, maybe Moyes might have done it, but it's a rare thing, especially not in their. But that's what I mean by how you can manipulate these things. It's probably happened, but I guarantee. I say it's a pretty sure bet to say no top 6 team has ever hired a new manager where in their opening 13 games, they've lost three on the bounce in any sequence in that opening 13 games. So you could turn that into like the biggest negative ever. And that's the problem when you make sweeping statements. I saw an article that was comparing him to Fergie, and I just thought to myself, why would you ever do that? That Fergie is, if he isn't the greatest, he's one of the greatest managers of all time. Postecoglou doesn't even get in the front door of a conversation like that, and you're using his name. And as I say, you can. I wouldn't do it, by the way. If they lose this game, it's bad. But I'm not going to manipulate it and work out and find a stat and go, oh my god, he's the first manager in 30 years to take over a club, a team that's played in the Champions League and lose 3 on the bounce in their opening 13 games. There's probably a stat there, and you could word it in a more clever way that makes it sound.
Spurs were in the Champions League last season as well. People need to remember.
They're a top 6. We know what top 6 means. When you're part of the traditional top 6, it's the same as the old top 4. You're in and around that Champions League conversation. But it's just one of those things. I think you've just got to. There was so. Listen, I'd actually like him.
You've got to calm down, and I told them calm down, and they didn't calm down.
It's crazy to me.
And by the way, can we stop acting like Postecoglou is a new manager? This is another thing that just gets on my nerve, guys. Ain't Postecoglou has been managing since 1996. I was 1 year old when Ain't Postecoglou started managing. I am now 28, and he's still a manager. So can we stop acting like he's not an Arteta, he's not a Lampard, he's not some sort of new manager on the rise, like, trying to find his way. This guy is old. He's been managing. He's been managing for 20 plus years. So we can't sit up here and act like he's some sort of new guy. Putting him in a sentence with Ferguson alone is disrespectful. He's not even on the levels. He's not even like 4 or 5 tiers below that. Ain't Postecoglou. Respectfully, coming into a club, playing offensive football and improving players is something we've seen over and over and over and over.
Do you know what happens in terms of the dialogue? Spurs have improved this year. They've looked excellent. I think I've been really impressed with them. But what ends up happening in these conversations is people get annoyed. Me as a United fan, when I see Fergie's name put next to him, that's going to annoy me. What are you doing? It shouldn't be there. By the way, thinking about that, Graham Potter must have lost at least 3 games on the bounce last year at some point. So that probably has been done by somebody else. But you get the angle that I'm coming from. There's this element of, but you could word it as a manager that had a preseason. I bet if you went through and looked at all Champions League contending teams from the start of the Premier League until now that have started a season with a new manager, you'll find very few that have lost 3 in a row within their opening 13 games. Now, imagine manipulating that into a stat to make him sound like he's had an awful start. That is the same difference to me to taking a very good start and speaking like he's completely fixed the club faster than anybody else has fixed the club, comparing him to Fergie and gaslighting Tottenham fans into thinking their squad was okay. And that's why I felt really sorry for the likes of Sav and Kate and Alan, who whenever they said, look, I think we've really improved, I'm enjoying it, but calm down, guys, I don't think we'll win the title. They were getting so much abuse, and not so much from Football Terrace. We've got Jerome and Cal and a lot of our members that support Spurs. Again, level-headed. But from my point of view, it was just a bit crazy. And this is what happens. The other end of it, when you start to lose, rivals go in. They go in because it's more fun to watch. And sometimes as fans, your job is to help control the narrative about your club, help to control because now the pressure's building. There's probably more pressure on Spurs now because of the kind of vitriol and the exaggeration that the media gave them. And it's all part and parcel. But let's have a little look at some super chats. Luke Skywalker says, smash the like button, people. Thank you, Luke. Appreciate that, bro. Thank you. I'll come to that one in a minute. Support Spurs, and I was never one of them fans. If we get top 5, which I think gets you Champions League, I'll be happy. Still a fan of yours, Sam.
I appreciate you, Slick. And Slick, by the way, let me address this. I have nothing against the Spurs fans because you know what's funny? Everything I say, they're just saying on their own YouTube channels. I snuck into Spurs YouTube in the chat. I didn't even say a comment or anything because I know they'll ban me if they recognize me in the chat. I just heard them speak. I just sat down for 4 or 5 minutes, and guess what? They're saying the same shit Hussam said. But Hussam's delivery is from a Liverpool fan, and Hussam says things like an asshole sometimes, so they get upset. That's your problem, not mine. If you're being sensitive, I'll be honest with you. Everything I've said is just happening in front of our very own eyes. So, yeah.
You're not 28. You're much older than 28. You look about 35, bruv.
28. I'm 28. Listen, this is Middle Eastern
old,
beans right here.
I
can shave my beard off right now in front of you.
I'm 38 in a couple of weeks, and we look about the same age.
Yeah, but the difference between me and you is when you get to 40, you look 50. That's the difference.
No, I'm 38. Okay, no grey.
Listen, you might be an outlier. You might be an outlier.
That's interesting. As you get older, as you get older, you don't realize your age by looking at yourself. It's only when you're around younger people. Where was I the other day? I had to go my daughter's parents' evening, and the teacher sat down with me, and I was like, they're kids. They're not. They're 25, 26 years old, but they look so young. I'm like, oh my God, I'm getting old. But anyway, we digress. Terry, yeah, the transplant definitely makes me look younger, but yeah, there we go. It probably is the beard. Again, if I go clean shaven, I look younger as well. I always had a baby face growing up. I always looked I was one of the, I was
You know,
quite,
if I shave my beard, I look 14. So I'm not trying
when
to
I
do
was
that.
younger, I was similar. I was that guy that always looked younger than I was. When I was 18, like when I was 18, I still looked like I was 14. I was but remember my nan saying to me, you'll enjoy that when you get older. Because I've got a mate, by the way, at 15, he looked about 25. You should see him now.
Big up Manny's comment, funniest comment of this whole stream. He said 28 plus add-ons.
We have an expression over here when people say their age, we think they're lying. We say, oh yeah, 28 plus VAT. Because that's like a bit of that on top.
Plus add-ons, big up. That made me laugh. Big up to you, man.
Ricky here says, Terry, the amount of screen time you gave Tottenham is not proportional to their relevance amongst the top boys. Big up Hussam, Thumb City tomorrow. Thumb City. Oh, that's an image that is there.
Ricky's probably an Arsenal fan, I believe. Thank you, my brother.
This is an interesting question. What do you guys define as progress in sport, whether it's football, NFL, basketball? Terry looks great at 38. What's your week when you come? What am I week at when it comes to eating? Just anything that's bad for me. Pringles is my biggest thing. My diet's terrible. My diet isn't terrible. Like I just ate like a tuna salad, and I've still got half of it left here. I ordered it from a nice cafe, like a granola thing, right? It's healthy. I just eat too much. That's what it really. But what do you see as progression in sport, Sam?
My weakness in eating as well, because I'm currently on a cutting diet, because I have plans to have a ring over here soon. But see, announced on the terrace. You know what it is? My weakness is everything that's unhealthy, but not Pringles. I feel like you could have Pringles, like 3 Pringles chips, and then just close the thing.
No, I eat about 4 boxes a week.
I've never been one of them dessert guys. I've never been like, oh my God, I really crave chocolate. I've never been that guy. I've always been like food, like I'm talking burgers, pizza, shit. Like that's what it gets me. But anyway, success in sports. Success in sports is always contextual, every single time. When Jurgen Klopp walked in, sometimes I'll use my club as an example so people don't get offended. I could use Postecoglou as an example, but people get annoyed. So I'll use my own club. When Klopp first walked in as Liverpool manager, Liverpool had been 25 years without a Premier League title. Liverpool Football Club have been up, down, mostly down. Liverpool Football Club failed to keep their good players. Liverpool Football Club were not moving like a big club or a serious club. So Liverpool Football Club steadily progressed. Fourth place in a Champions League final, winning the Champions League, winning the Premier League, keeping your best players. All of these things are signs of progression. Having world-class players interested in joining you, whether you would want to do it or not, whether you do it or not is different. But even the thought of Mbappe even uttering the words Liverpool would have been a dream 10 years ago. So Klopp genuinely improved the Liverpool Football Club. Same thing with progression is contextual. So if a manager comes into Tottenham Hotspur after the mess they've had, Ain't Postecoglou, factually speaking, is progressing the club. Now, let's not overdo the progress that he's done. So good football, stuff like that, then getting results. For me, I'm with the Pep approach. Establish a style of play, and that style of play will get you results. Even if at the start it's bumpy, you will eventually get there. Gradual progression, 100%.
Yeah, I think I echo what you say, and relativity is important as well, because you look at a club like Luton being in the Premier League, based on where they've come from, the size of the club, the income of the football club, it's a huge achievement. It's huge progression to even get to this stage because of the size they are. And I know that there are lots of people out there that don't view that as progression. If you're not winning the big trophies, then you're a failure. But that is just for me an overly elitist, exaggerated standard where it's almost like putting the pressure on your children. You want to learn to play the piano. Well, if by the time you're 8 years old, you're not as good as if you're not as good as by the time you're 8 years old as Beethoven was at composing music, you're a failure. That's essentially the standard you are putting on. If you apply that logic to every walk of life, where unless you're the out and outright best, you're a failure. I mean, how miserable would the world be? That's why I can't take it overly seriously. When I look at what Man United spend, I expect us with that expenditure to be at the top or to be competing at the top. But you can't with a team that has an income less than we pay our reserve team players, right? Over the course of a year. You can't expect them to compete year in, year out with the big boys, especially if they don't have the ownership to do it. So, and at the same time, the same people I see that turn around and say like FFP is to stop anybody joining the elite clubs. These are the same guys who are saying you're a crap football club if you're not competing with the elite guys. But you said FFP stops them anyway. So how's it even plausible? But yeah, it's a little bit strange to me. And yeah, that's how I would view progression. This is not to mention, even if Man United get a Champions League spot, they won't be able to play in the Champions League next year. Look, I've seen that rumor go around because of the ownership in Nice. Manchester City have one of their subsidiary teams top at the moment of La Liga. No one's talking about it because it won't happen. You've got
You know why? You know who owns that club? Guardiola's brother.
He's part of it, but there's also other like City Group.
They tell me I'm crazy for thinking it's shady. They tell me I'm crazy.
Hang on, but no, I get you. RB Leipzig and RB Salzburg both playing the same thing. Man United will structure the ownership in the same way that Nice will structure the ownership, so there is no clash. It's not going to be a problem. It's a nothing story for me. Even though it's correct, if Sir Jim Ratcliffe by name owns both, they won't let it happen, but they will change it and they'll work things out. This here says,